If you're new here, makeup is not a normal thing, so don't expect it. This is a weird day. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name's Allie. If you're new here, hello. If you're returning, welcome back. I appreciate you so much. Thank you for being here. It is the end of August. It is reading wrap-up time, and it was a weird month. I feel like this is like my biggest reading slump month that I've had in a while. I only read 11 books, and I was not happy with most of them. So let's just start there. So the first book I read this month was Funny You Should Ask. I read this while I was on vacation in Puerto Rico. I have a vlog up of that if you're interested in checking that out. I only like 2-starred this. I didn't like it as much as I was expecting I was going to, and that makes me sad because like it's a beautiful book and aesthetically, this looks great on any bookshelf. But this follows a reporter, and she like does this interview on her celebrity crush like a year ago, and then, is it a year ago? Is it like 10 years ago? 10 years ago, and then she gets assigned to do an interview with him again, and like I guess they really hit it off when they first met, and she goes back to do this other interview and they like fall madly in love with each other, and like I just had a hard time feeling the chemistry. I didn't see where anything was like so astronomically great where I expected them to be together again. Like, I liked them as a couple, and like when they were back together again, like I liked it. I don't know, there was just something about it. I had a really hard time getting through it. I did, but I didn't like it. And then following up with another unexpected 2-star was The Summer of Broken Rules. This was recommended all over the place, especially for like a summer beach romance. This was just too YA for me. I still like, I can't say I love it, that would be a lie. I still like a good YA feel-good romance. I have to be in the mood for it. So I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood for it, or if I like at any day wouldn't have liked it. It just seemed really simple, and again, I had a hard time getting through it. I thought it was kind of boring at sometimes. This follows Meredith. She has this big wedding coming up, so her family and the groom's family are like all doing this vacation together and like getting ready for the wedding, and she meets this boy from the groom's side. Like, it was cute, but it was also just, it wasn't enough for me. It couldn't keep me entertained. Those two, like, they didn't hit for me. So I was like, you know what? I will jump back into my Kindle. And I think last month I mentioned I started reading this companion novel series. It's called the Btu Alumni Series. And I randomly started at like book 4 and 5 because somebody recommended them to me. So I was like, you know what? I'll read the first book and like get back into that series. I didn't after the first book. I couldn't get through it. It was only like 250 pages, so it felt very rushed. I don't necessarily know if it was like the characters, or I think it was just so rushed and it was so short that things felt forced. So I DNF'd that book, which put me in a massive reading slump. I did not read anything for at least a week and a half until I picked up one of my favorite reads of the year, probably, Magnolia Parks. This book, I have not been this angry about a book in a while. I literally remember being on the phone with my boyfriend just like being frustrated over this book. I annotated the crap out of this book. Like, I feel like it took me forever to read it because I was so stressed out half the time that I was just like, I'm gonna punch someone if I don't stop reading this. But then I was also annotating every single page. I have an annotation in here that says the number of men in this book that need extensive therapy, and I just kept a tally mark going. How many men in this book need to go to intense therapy? This was man number 3. But this book is frustrating as heck. I wanted to like rip this book in half almost every chapter. I feel like if you liked Normal People, you would like this book. It gives me Normal People vibes, but also like the friend group billionaire aspect of like the Addicted Calloway series. How they're just like all weirdly famous for things. Normal People mixed with Addicted Calloway. I feel like the best way to compare it to other books. But this follows our main character, Magnolia. She has had this childhood crush on this boy BJ her entire life, and they are the definition of toxic couple. And they aren't even a couple. It's a big old miscommunication trope, which is why it's frustrating, and it's constantly like, I'm mad at you for this weird thing, so I'm gonna go date somebody else to make you jealous, and then also get mad when you date someone else because I'm dating someone else. And that's the entire plot of the book. It does not give you a happily ever after. It's an ongoing series, leaves on a pretty big cliffhanger. I'm in love with Tom. He's also someone that needs therapy, but I'm in love with him. So if you read the book, that I'm a Tom girly. I stan Tom more than I stan BJ. But this book is iconic. This is like a CW TV show, a Riverdale, but a book. Like, it's full of drama and annoying scenes, and you will for sure never be bored. There's always something going on. You're not gonna have a chapter where something weird doesn't happen. Hi, Mud. You will be entertained every second of this book. So that put me on a little bit of a higher note and wanted to read something, but I had no idea what I wanted to read because I kind of didn't want to go back to the Btu Alumni because of me DNFing the first book. I was like, well, what if I only liked those 2 books? Last month, I started the Heir to Rise series, and I still had the 2 books left of that. So I went back to my Kindle and I read the next 2 Heir to Rise series. So that is A Queen Comes to Power and A Throne from the Ashes. The second book, A Queen Comes to Power, I 4-starred, and the third book, I 3-starred. Look, overall, is this a good series? I would say, yeah, it's like overall 3-star series. Like, it's mediocre, but it is a blatant ripoff of Throne of Glass. I saw some people on Goodreads say the same thing. It's like, I don't understand how this author got this series published without getting like sued. There is like straight up entire plagiarized scenes. Like, there is a Manon equivalent in this book. There's an Aelin equivalent. There is a Rowan equivalent. There's an Adian equivalent. Like, every character in this book, there's an equivalent for. There's a Dorian equivalent. It's just every single character, but in a different font. Manon in Throne of Glass has a dragon, but the Manon equivalent in this book just has her own wings. She doesn't need a dragon, she just has her own wings, but she still has the iron nails. Like, it's just, there's like legitimate scenes that are blatant ripoffs. So it's like, did I enjoy the series? Yeah, because I like Throne of Glass, but it's just a complete ripoff. Like, if you've already read Throne of Glass, I feel like you'd be like me and you might like it, but you're probably gonna get frustrated with it because you've already, like, I already knew the entire plot. Like, the 4th one comes out soon, but I don't think I'm gonna read it because, like, it reads like every other book I've read. There's nothing new and unique about it. It's just like, how did you get away with writing this? I liked them, but I was also mad that I was just reading a book like every other book. So then I did a reread of a book I knew I liked that I have been mentioning a lot recently, Entwined by Heather Dixon. This is a middle school classic for me. This is YA fantasy romance. It's considered fantasy. Like I always say, if you like House of Salt and Sorrows, you will like this book. Barbie and the 12 Dancing Princesses. That's what this is, but a little bit darker. I will say, like, House of Salt and Sorrows, a little bit more darker than what this one is. This is not spicy. It's very YA. I think the most thing that happens is someone kisses. Magic castle, the 12 sisters, there's like the secret hidden world in the castle, magic, blah. I still love it. I would say that, like, me reading it at 22 years old, I would say it's like a 3.5, 4-star. It's not the same 5-star it was when I was in middle school, but I still love it in my heart as a 5-star in middle school. I just, like, I needed to reread something that I knew I already liked because I was struggling so much already this month. So I went, again, back to my Kindle and I read the Wildflower Duet. So this is 2 books. Cattail. Okay, I love you. The first book is The Confidence of Wildflowers, and the second book is The Resurrection of Wildflowers. I think I 3-starred both of them. This is a second chance romance, and it's also an age gap romance, and that was my biggest complaint about the book. I feel like for me, if you're gonna do an age gap romance, make the female character like 20. Like, this is legitimately like this girl's 18th birthday when she falls in love with this 31-year-old man. I know that it's age gap, but it's like, you don't need to do the bare minimum to make it legal. Like, you can make the girl 19 turning 20. I feel like I just don't like when it's freshly 18. There's no reason you can't age him a couple years. It doesn't change the plot that much, because the whole thing of this main character, she graduated, she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life, so she's not going to go to college. It's like, that could 100% transfer to somebody in their 20s. They could have been a 20-year-old that didn't go to college because they don't know what to do with their life. Like, it doesn't change the plot that much, and it's still a very big age gap. It's just slightly less weird illegal looking. So that was my like biggest complaint with like the first one. And it also is like a pregnancy trope at the very end. I still read it, like it was literally like the last chapter. That was like the plot twist they left it on. And then the second book is like 10 years down the road. She's in her mid-20s and reconnects with her love interest from the first book. So like I liked them, but the age gap romance was like almost too much of a gap. But yeah, if you like age gap romance with a little bit of pregnancy trope, second chance romance, which I'm a big fan of, check it out. I then read my all-time favorite read of the month. I actually did a reading vlog of this book, which is going up next week. Keep your eye out for that if you want my opinions on that, because I'm not gonna go into depth about this book or my opinions. I'm just gonna tell you I read it and what I started. But I read I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette Mccurdy, and I 5-starred it. It was great. That's all I'm gonna say. I had a lot of people from my high school and my friends from college DMing me to ask me my opinions and what I thought about this book and whatever. So I'm really glad that I did this reading vlog. So keep your eye open for that, especially those of you who requested it. You know who you are. I did it for you. Love ya. And then my last book of the month was Faking with Benefits. This book is like the TV show New Girl, which I love. It's my comfort show. I live, laugh, love that show. New Girl, but if Jess dated all of the boys in the loft. So it's reverse harem. I 3-starred it. I have nothing against reverse harem. I just personally have never found a reverse harem that I liked. Any reverse harem up until this one I've DNF'd because I didn't like it. The storyline, whatever you want to call it. This one I finished. I 3-starred it. It was okay. So this was the first reverse harem I can say that I liked. Basically, New Girl. Our main character, Layla, she's like this quirky girl that lives next door to this apartment of these 3 men. They have a podcast about relationships. She is this successful businesswoman that runs a like body positivity, like all-inclusive lingerie company, but she has a terrible record with dating. She has never even had a boyfriend. It starts off, her date is like jumping out the bathroom window. So like she goes to this group of guy friends that live across from her that have this podcast, and she's like, hey, like teach me how to date. Basically turns into her dating all 3 of these men. It's a smut book, lots of smut in it. If you're not a smut person, do not read this book. It's like every chapter after maybe chapter 6 is just smut, which, hey, I'm here for it. But if it's not for you, it's not for you. But I 3-starred it. It was my first reverse harem that I liked, which I was happy about. But yeah, those were all of the books that I read this month. It was a fairly small reading month for me because I was in such a reading slump for a while, but I did read books that I ended up really liking. My favorite books of the month were I'm Glad My Mom Died and Magnolia Parks. They were great. So out of all of the books this month, those are the 2 I would definitely suggest you reading if you haven't. Hopefully next month is a little bit better of a month, but I don't know, we'll see. We'll see where the month takes us. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. I love and appreciate you so much. If you want to follow me on if you want to follow me on any of my social medias, as always, it will be linked down in the description box below, as well as on my home screen channel banner. Down below is also my Amazon wish list. If you want to send me any books that are on there, I would greatly appreciate it and do some unboxings for you. Also down below is my PangoBooks. If you want to buy mine or other people's used books, it's just a cheaper way of filling up your TBR with all of the books you want to read for your incoming month. I love you guys so much. Please stay safe, and I will see you guys somewhere else on the internet.